Yes, I think that natural circumstances, and when I mean natural, I mean this, not anything that we ourselves are doing per se, but just the living life and the conditions of life all over this globe, I think will bring about conditions that make the human beings realize it's better for us to be together than to be separate. And I think that we're actually seeing that now. We're actually seeing that now. And sometimes when you don't know, you see things, and sometimes, like I said, it might be chaotic, maybe a lot of things going on in the world, and so in the moment or in the midst of things, it might seem like people are all over the place, and to a degree they really are. But also, I think that the long view of the thing is that I believe that over time, our religious labels will become less and less important. I'm a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're Jewish, etc., etc. That'll become less and less important. We will begin to have what we will call a value-based relationships. What do you value? What's important to you? What do you want for your life? What hurts our life, collectively, etc. And we will begin to talk more as a collective as opposed to what's good for my life, what's good for your life as individuals. So will we all be one religion, and one religious tradition? No, I don't think so. But will we all come together and have more shared values? I think so. I think that's just the way that things will happen. And it won't always be our doing. It'll be natural situations. Sometimes it'll be natural disaster, or natural circumstance, or things that happen that's really beyond our control will turn the light bulb on in our heads to say, we're better together than we are apart. And we will look for the things in our religion that binds us together as opposed to finding ways to stand alone. So one
Father Miller, before you go there, this might be an unfair thing, but I was also kind of hearing perhaps in some of their answers, curious to get back about this. What if someone would say, like, well, I'm not sure if in the future, even this idea of religions being separate or connected, but perhaps in the future that there might not be religions. So
I think there will always be something like a religion, and I think the ones that will thrive are the ones that teach their branches to act more like a river. We are out on branches right now. And if we, on our branches, only focus on branching out more and not on connecting, then we won't survive, because it's not the way God is. And I think, therefore, it's not the way religion should be. We just have 5 minutes till the break, and we have 4 questions to go. So we're going to do quick answers. Main differences between Christianity and Islam?
The main differences, 2 to 3 things. Okay. Islam begins with a premise in its beginning that everything is good. And the human being is good. So the idea of being born into sin, original sin, that's not a part of Islamic theology. The idea that human beings are born as babies, innocent in the world, and it's not until they really become knowledgeable of the world or get conditioned in the world that they begin to go away from that pattern of life that God has entitled them or has it really entrusted for them, or has it really made for them. But in their inception, they're innocent. So that may be a difference. Yeah. In terms of the second, I would say, because we only have 5 minutes, is to say that, the monotheistic religion of God, with God being one, and nothing being comparable to God. You know, nothing being associated with God. You know, we wouldn't say, well, God is like this, or God is that. We wouldn't use that kind of language in Islam to describe God, outside of the attributes that he describes himself as: the most merciful, the most generous, the forgiving, you know, the one who preserves safety, the one who's a source of peace, etc. We would describe him in ways that he describes himself, as opposed to looking for some likeness in this creation, or the objective creation, like he's like the sun, he's like this, or like that. No, well, we wouldn't do those sorts of things. So that also speaks about the idea of the Trinity, and which is not a part of Islamic theology either. It's more of a monotheistic, that God is in his oneness, and we describe him based upon his attributes as he describes himself in our scripture. So that would make it simple.
Yeah, and I will say about Christianity a difference with Islam. Islam treats Jesus as one of the greatest of all prophets, and believes in the virgin birth, and believes that Jesus will come on the last day to be part of the last judgment. So we agree on that. But Islam doesn't believe what we believe, which is that Jesus was crucified, he really died, and he was raised from the dead. And that's pretty important to me, because as a Trinitarian who believes that Jesus was God, I have to believe that God loved the world enough to not just become a human being, kind of, but to totally become a human being, even the really difficult, painful, awful part of being tortured to death by the empire. But in the end, God, through the resurrection, had the last word and said, I'm sorry, death, you are not the most important thing. Love is more important, so I'm bringing my son back. Another difference, I think, between the two, I guess I'll just leave it at there. We've just got 2 minutes left. So pick any one of the 3 bullets that we have left, and just what's your take on any one of them? Most misunderstood thing about your religion, something you like best about Christianity, how you speak truth to power. Just pick any one. We won't get to all 3 of them. Sure.
You know, one of the most misunderstood things about our religion is that the way that it has spread throughout the world has been through violent means. And in fact, as I read in some books as I was growing up through school, and probably your age or more, that Islam was spread by the sword, meaning convert or else. Convert or else. And it's not to say that there weren't battles fought, religious battles. There were fought due to religion. I wouldn't call them religious battles. But due to that, that was not the way that Islam spread throughout the globe, from various parts and various corners of the globe. That was spread by force. That was not the way. That was not the way. And history says that. But there have been some struggles that caused Muslims to fight. They caused Muslims to fight. And sometimes they won, and sometimes we lost these fights. But nonetheless, that is a part of the history, but that wasn't the impetus or the catalyst, if you will, that made Islam grow as it has been and continues to do today, by the way. Continues to do today, regardless of what's being said in the media or what's going on, how it's portrayed. Of all the things that you may have seen on the negative side, it still maintains to be the fashion religion today. That these things are kind of like don't go together. And if you just logically thought, well, if it was all bad that's being presented, then why does it continually grow in terms of population as well as influence? So these things, that's why this is a kind of a misnomer or misunderstanding about our religion. That's a short answer of what I would say.
And I would agree, and I would say the most misunderstood thing to me about Christianity is that we're narrow-minded, science-hating, bigoted people. There may be a few Christians who hate science. There may be a few Christians who don't believe that we should listen to science and use the discoveries of science. There may be some Christians who believe literally that the world was created in in 6 days, and God rested. It was literally 6, and therefore the dinosaurs are just a joke. I think God gave us brains, and we came up with science as a way of learning more about God. And as to being bigots, that is the last thing Jesus was. And so if Jesus' followers are making him look bad and bringing shame on his name instead of honor, then the rest of us need to stand up and say, no to bigotry and bullying and all that kind of thing. I think that's a misunderstood thing about our religion. We're just little narrow-minded people. We've got our Bibles and we thump them on people. And that's pretty embarrassing to me when I hear that stereotype.